There's a trap that nobody talks about, and that's if you're working and if you don't ever take any breaks, that things must be actually happening and compounding towards a future that you're trying to build. But the thing is, perhaps the activities and tasks that you're working on, the question to ask is, do they ever actually compound? Because you could be in a hamster wheel working on tasks that perhaps make you feel as if there is this sense of accomplishment or things getting done. But the real question is there anything compounding off of that? And if so, if you were to remove yourself, does it exponentially grow with the same amount of input that you were adding into it, say at the very start? Because in the beginning, it's this sort of flywheel that you have to push and push and push to a point where then it can have this sort of takeoff velocity. But if you're working on activities that don't ever actually reach a point where, say, they can take off and have some sort of hockey stick growth, the question you have to ask yourself is, are you working on the right thing or not? Which can actually enable that? We live in a society where you have to be productive to get all these things, especially now with AIs. You can launch one agent here, you can launch another agent here, you can have like 5 different browsers up. But at the same time, this falls into the territory of being able of multitasking and losing your focus in all the noise and distractions out there with all this new technology and things happening. So are you actually being conscious here of how you're spending your time, and is it actually compounding over time? Or are you just working on activities that are keeping you busy because you've programmed your nervous system to reward yourself for being busy when really there's no work you have to do? And that's a massive mental shift that I've come to realize for myself. I mean, personally speaking, I've always been a sort of workaholic. I love working. It's just something that I've built into my identity. I just really like doing things that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. But over time, like over multiple years of just compounding this, working every single day, just doing things, you program and train your nervous system to find reward in the activities that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And if you're not conscious and aware of that, the problem can become a downward spiral, because you can just be working on things, and if you don't pay attention to your time, where it's going, how your focus is being allocated to all these different things, you could just be working for the sake of working without anything actually compounding or leading anywhere. Especially if you're restarting and just doing new things over and over and over again, which never give you the chance to actually see the compound growth that can potentially come in a couple months or a couple years. And the one thing that separates the 1%, the highest performers in any field, is their focus. It's not having more tasks, it's not having more things on their plate, because realistically speaking, after reaching a certain threshold in anything, like you already made it above a certain crowd. And then there's like this middle tier, and then there's like this insane like Michael Jordan tier. Once you start getting to this tier and then you reach this tier, it's really about gaining back those extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 10% optimizations in whatever you're doing, whether it's a business, whether it's time management, philosophy, whether it is what you're choosing to focus on a day-to-day basis. Any little optimization tweak or enhancement into your funnel, into your business, into how you acquire customers, or whatever it is that you're doing, all this matters because everyone at that level is trying to fight for that extra 1%. And that makes the difference of, say, earning an extra 1 million or a couple million per year because you grab that extra 1%. And all this extra compounded focus that you have is the difference between being a 10x performer versus a 100x performer. And a simple philosophy starts with saying no to everything unless it is a hell yes. And the thing is, there are all these systems, all these ways you can manage your calendar, all these ways, all these frameworks out there to manage your time, to manage your focus with how you're doing everything. But the thing is, our time is not scalable, but your calendars and your to-do lists, they all are, because you can add an infinite amount of tasks into your to-do lists. You can add an infinite amount of tasks into your calendar. But when it comes to your time, there's only 24 hours in a day. A third of it you probably spent sleeping. Maybe another quarter of it you're probably doing menial tasks, so such as maybe eating, maybe walking, maybe exercising, things that don't actually move the ball forward. So then that brings us down to about a quarter of that time per day, or maybe less, really spent on productive tasks. It really depends on how you're managing and where all this time is going and at what stage in life you even are. So then now that we understand that focus is our most prized possession, how do we make decisions in terms of what we allow into our focus and what we focus on versus what do we say no to? And the simple framework that you can follow is, can you delegate it, can you systemize it, or can you completely drop it? So delegate, systemize, or drop. Because you want to do things that you're the most qualified to do and that you enjoy doing versus, say, working on activities that may not bring the greatest ROI in terms of time and payoff, or if it's just keeping you busy for no reason. And maybe say you're into cooking, but you're also running a company or you're doing something. Sure, maybe cooking's not going to progress you the most in your career, But for certain activities like this, we may allow it into our time because it's kind of what makes us human, right? We can have these sorts of activities and pleasurable things we can do just because maybe we are very interested in these hobbies. But everything else, you want to filter out ruthlessly. You want to start off, can you eliminate anything that you're currently doing? Can you just eliminate it? Because before you can delegate it or even create any system for it, you just want to see if you can completely eliminate it. Like, I know there's a framework that Elon Musk follows, is that he tries to ruthlessly cut and eliminate everything in, say, a system whenever they're doing something in a production. And they try to delete everything to a point where it breaks. And until it breaks, they're going to keep on deleting things so it's just as thin and essential as possible. So the same thing should apply to you, where you're just deleting everything ruthlessly to find the threshold where things start to break. And then that's when you know, okay, I can't delete these things off my plate. I should keep them. From there, the next thing what you want to do is see if you can systemize it. And when I say systemize, I mean finding automations, I mean finding softwares, I mean finding agents, I mean finding any sort of technology or process that you can find that doesn't require human involvement with your current resources. Because if you can systemize it, the costs are going to be extremely low. There's probably already a solution or software out there for what you're doing. And pretty much the way it works is you just set it once and then you forget about it. So then that's systemized. Once you systemize it, once you've reached a point where, say, maybe it does require, say, a bit of human taste, or it does require a specific set of skills that maybe is not available in, say, systematic solutions or automated solutions with software or something, then that's when you want to look into, say, getting headcount or getting a freelancer or getting a virtual assistant. Because if you can delegate and offload these tasks, then you can just remove it entirely off your plate. But before you even do any of this, it's just really about creating a log. I created in my past few videos a mention of exercises of what you can do over a 7-day period, where what you're doing is tracking every single hour of your day, or should say every 30 minutes of your day when you're awake, and you're just logging exactly the activities that you're doing on a week-to-week basis, because you cannot measure and optimize or delete anything or even systemize anything unless you're tracking your time, and so you know exactly what's going into your day-to-day basis. So before you can do any of this stuff, you have to log your time and see what is actually going on. And even though I did briefly mention earlier that focus is this big thing here, right? And they have to say no to a lot of things, but that is a huge skill in itself, is being able to say no and protect your time. Because the more opportunity flow you have, the more things that are happening in your life, the more people you have working with you, the more responsibilities and obligations that come to you, you do have to flex the no muscle and really protect your boundaries. Because if maybe say you have a poor relationship with your own boundaries, self-esteem, you're just going to let people walk over you. And if you value your time and it's a constant repeat issue that you're letting people into your life, and then you're not finding time to do tasks or things that actually matter, well, then you have a boundary problem as well. So even though saying no sounds like a small thing, it's actually a massive skill. And the simple mental framework I use, I believe this is from Derek Sivers, but the simple mental model you want to have is that if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. Because there are going to be situations where you're like, do I kind of want to do this? Do I not kind of want to do this? So if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. And then just accept that. It's the default. Especially as a founder, especially as a CEO, a person with ambition, things you want to do in life. We have all these dreams and things that we want to do, but if we're not creating systems in place or applying mental models or different sort of frameworks that can help us manage and protect our time, you're just going to let the world walk all over you, take your time from you, and not allow any of the systems and tools and solutions that exist out in the world to actually buy back your time and help you live a life that you can actually enjoy. Because if that's not the case, you're just creating a cell for yourself. It's a hamster wheel. You feel like you're constantly in motion and things aren't happening. Maybe you're answering to various different people's requests. People are walking over your boundaries. You don't have any systems in place because maybe you're not familiar with any of the solutions or what exists, or you just can't keep up. Or maybe you've tried implementing it, but it just kind of stopped and fizzled out. But systems, you have to let the systems work for you. I'm going to paraphrase this from James Clear, but it goes something along the lines of, you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. And really, these systems are people systems, automation systems, AI systems, mental model systems. So whatever systems you have in place, even though we try to strive for a certain goal, at the end of the day, we're just going to fall back to the systems that are actually keeping us where we currently are. And this goes from decision-making systems to systems that aren't actually tangible, but how we actually make decisions throughout life, to things that are actually in place to buy back our time. increase the quality of our life, and help us get to the next goal. So the goal here isn't to work less or work more. It's really about being conscious of, are you working on the right things? And one thing I want to challenge you as I end the video here is, if you were able to compress your time into a quarter or a fraction of what you're currently doing, what would those responsibilities look like? If you only had to focus on a fraction of things and cut everything else out, what would your day-to-day look like? What would you only focus on? Would you still be doing all these follow-ups? Would you still be doing all this admin work? Because if you can compress your time and force everything into only a very small work block you have on a day-to-day basis, eliminate everything else, or even put systems in place to work for you, well then you've removed 75% of your responsibilities and obligations that you're already doing in zombie mode on a day-to-day basis. So I challenge you to compress your time and see what kind of tasks that emerge out of that, where those truly reveal themselves as the highest priority things that you have to work on. That'll be all for the video. If you're looking to buy back your time, systemize various different processes in your personal life or your business with AI agents, check out my website, or you can reach out to me via my email. We can schedule a call, see if it's a fit to work together, and get this awesome technology implemented into your life. Thanks for watching. See you in another one.